Now we've marked out our barrel clamp tube, and so we now have a rectangular slot marked out here which we need to cut out at a later stage. First of all, I want to drill holes here and here, and these are the ends of this hacksaw cut which will go right through, and we'll do that cut with the power hacksaw. So, wearing safety glasses of course, standard safety precautions, clamp our work in here. If we use a 3 or a 3.5mm drill, it could be a 4mm drill. It's not that important. But what is important is that it provides a place for the saw to finish cutting, and that's really key. We'll drill one hole there, and this is on the center punch marks we've just made. And there, rotate it, half a turn. When you're drilling, make sure that the center punch marks are smack on top, otherwise the drill may walk off the mark. And we are done, pretty much. Hang up the safety glasses. The next step brings us to the power hacksaw, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut on that 45-degree line there, and we're also going to cut between the holes, there to there. But we'll do the 45-degree angle first. I'm trying to think what we need to be able to put it in the saw so that the maximum amount of metal is clamped in the vise. Probably we could cut this one first. So let's do that. I'm going to raise the saw, I'm going to lock it. Place the metal in, and we're going to cut. I'm going to bring it down quite close, right there. I'm going to cut right on that line. I'm going to cut down to the hole, or the two holes, I should say. Clamp that up. Just remember it is tube, and if you over tighten it on the vise here, on the left hand side, here, then you can actually crush and change the shape of the tube, and we don't want to do that, so we need to be pretty careful about that. Right, we turn the saw on. Make sure we have plenty of coolant, probably a little bit too much. If you have too much, you really can't see what you're doing. As long as there's some cutting fluid going on the blade, that's all we need. Now we're going to lower it slowly. So if we have a look at that, I'm going to close this control here off because it controls the drop rate. I'm now going to open the red handle here. So as soon as I now open this valve, it's going to start to lower the blade, and you'll see that. And I'm going to cut down to that hole. The blade's just starting to move, and I'm going to leave it like that. Now I've just stopped it from cutting by closing this red valve here. So it's just stopped, it won't cut anymore. The next step is to cut on this 45-degree line that we've marked on our piece of steel tube. It's marked on both sides and on both ends. Now we're going to slice that off. So we need to change the angle of the blade. I'm just going to drop the blade down a little bit closer to the metal. Not touching, but almost. And I'm not going to clamp that yet until I shift the blade around and put it on 45 degrees. You might think, where am I looking at 45 degrees? Well, if we have a look down here a little bit further, down here there's a pointer and a scale, and it's at the moment it's sitting on 45 degrees. How we clamp that is this lever here, we pull that back and that locks it in position. So when I loosen it, I actually loosen that off, and then I can move the blade, change the angle. So I'm going to tighten that. Now I'll zoom a little bit closer so you can see the mark. So it is on 45 degrees. All I have to do now is line up that blade with that mark. It's worthwhile spending some time just being a bit fussy about this. You really need to be looking straight down on top of it. Looking straight down is where I'm looking at the moment. Tighten that up, once again not too tight. Let's turn that saw on. Now a good tip is to make sure that you're actually cutting both ends exactly the same, cutting them on the same plane. In other words, the faces both cut from the top. Then what you can do is take the drill you used to drill a hole through the middle and put it through the two holes, so it goes from top to bottom. And as long as that is vertical, and you can tell it's vertical because it's parallel to one of the jewels, you know, the left hand jewel here or the right hand jewel here. And if you do that for both ends, it's kind of a double check just to make sure. As always with any machinery, we wear safety glasses, and we're going to use the end of the Linisher, which is a high-speed belt sander, to trim off the burr around the outside. You can see that kind of nuggety burr there. Just be real careful, they're very, very sharp. So we'll turn that on. We're just going to do a nice trim around the outside. Keep it moving. And that's all we want to do, just to take that edge off, a nice bevel on the outside edge. Do the same on this end. Keep it moving. Like that. That removes the burr on the outside and makes it quite safe. To do the inside, however, we're going to use a half round file, and just by holding it by hand, as always with filing, use the full length of the file. And we're just removing those unfriendly edges, removing those burrs. Then using a flat side of the same file, the half round file, using the flat side, you could put it in the vise, but you just need to be very careful that you don't damage the tube by changing its shape, or that you leave marks. So if you put it in the vise, I would recommend that you use jaw guards to protect the surface on the outside, because I think the best finish on this is going to be leaving it plain metal and then putting a Danish oil sealer on it, which will preserve it and stop it from rusting. But you still get that really nice metally look about it. Our next operation is to remove this parallel piece in here, which is 8mm wide. And we're going to use that using a cut-off disc on a die grinder, which is a small grinder. And in this kit, this is the die grinder. The kit lives down here on the right hand side of the workshop. Kind of there's the buffer, so it's just there. And in the kit there is a hose, a short hose, and there's also the die grinder itself. Now the die grinder doesn't have a whole lot of guarding on it around here. In fact, it doesn't have any guards on it at all. It has a safety operated to turn it on. It's air powered, so we push that and then turn it on. It's variable speed. Now because it doesn't have a guard on here, then you need to put a guard on yourself. Now safety glasses are generally okay, but in this case we need face protection and face shield, so we're going to use the full face shield. You note that I've got it sitting on the desk up that way. If you put it down the other way, then it tends to scratch the lens, which means, you know, it's going to get damaged. We also need ear muffs as well, because there's quite a lot of noise with air-powered tools. Now, where does it go? Where is it attached? Over here is our air supply, and we take an air hose and we push it in there, push the sleeve back, push it in firmly, and then release the sleeve. Now when we undo it, you don't just do that because it shoots the hose out, and that can be quite dangerous. This metal piece could whack someone in the face. So take it, a firm hold of it, and then push the sleeve back again. And we do the same on the other end when we attach it to the die grinder itself. So if I take the other end into the die grinder, pull the sleeve back and push it in. A slight air leak there, but a high-powered piece of machinery. Now you will have noticed that while I was grinding, not only was I wearing a face shield and ear muffs, but I was also had my left hand. I'm right-handed, so I'm operating the tool with my right hand, safety catch, and then pressing it open to make it go. I'm using my left hand as a stabilizer, so I've actually got the back of my left hand sitting on the bench, and I'm now pushing the trigger, and I've got full control over where the blade's going to go. Now I just need to be careful not to cut into this piece here or into this piece here, and so in fact I haven't actually finished the cut from end to end. We're going to finish that cut manually with a short piece of hacksaw blade. So I'll just cut in there with a short piece of hacksaw blade. It will only take about 5 seconds, 10 seconds worth of cutting, and then we can tidy up the cut around the edges, so with nice parallel lines, following our marking out. You'll notice I've got tape on the side. Well, I guess there's no, I don't probably need to explain why that is. I was mentioning before that if we put this in the vise, then we need to use jaw guards because it may damage the work. You can see on here this little crisscross pattern. It's made by the jaws, the serrated jaws inside the vise. So this piece of tape on here helps to protect it quite nicely. So I could probably just finish that just by hand with a hacksaw. Will do. Right, I've tried it just with some masking tape on here to protect my hand, but it's just too hard to operate. So I'm going to put the vice grips on, and we need to adjust those so they grip onto that really, really tightly, like that. And then I can put it through inside here. That is hard. Right, because it's the last little bit to be cut, and it has a sharp edge on it. That's through. temptation is to break it out, but I'm not going to. That's working better. I'll come at it very shallow angle. Just be careful because the edges will be sharp. There we go. Our neat little rectangular slot. Now this rectangular slot, either side of it is going to be the clamp mechanism, and because we have these slits down the side, we'll then be able to close these up, and they will grip on the PVC barrel tube that goes through the middle. The PVC barrel tube goes through here. This piece here is now allowed to flex because it has a slit here and a slit here. There will be two pieces of rectangular square bright steel there with two screws, one there and one there, and when we clamp them together, that's going to do the job for us. Also may give us a place to position our laser sight at a later stage. Now for some minor cleaning up, we'll use a single cut file. That means it has a single row of teeth called a single cut because that's what it has. A double cut has two rows this way and across them the other way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw file backwards and forwards to remove the sharp edges from the top and bottom, both sides of the slot. And then we can use the end of the file gently to do any tidying up we need to do. And finally, if we use the corner of the file like that, just to take the burrs off the saw slot around here. There's not a whole lot we can do about the saw slot on the inside. I'll just cut right across the tape, it won't matter. Just so that everything we do is of the best quality that it can possibly be. I'm going to clamp that in the vise. I'm probably working harder than I need to. Much better. Once again, use a single cut, leaves a better finish. That's what a single cut's designed for, making a nice, smooth, quality end product finish. There's a little piece here I need to remove. So I'll draw file it now. And in the end, you should actually have quite a friendly surface to touch. And you can kind of detect that there's no more rough edges. Now, when we look at the safety equipment here, we can see that both the air masks have a headband which goes over the top of the head, and the same with this mask here, goes over the top of the head as well. Now that creates a problem if you're trying to wear them both at the same time, because you can see it's pretty clear. You've got two headbands that want to be in the same place over the top of the head. So a recommendation then is therefore to see your teacher and ask for a set of earplugs, brand new set of earplugs, and you can keep them with you for the time that you're doing a project. So that means you can wear those with this helmet quite happily, and that'll keep the noise down.